Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. There is a famous football player, soccer player named Maradona. And he is famous for being the one who experienced the hand of God. You can do your own research on that. I feel like I've also experienced the hand of God in the sense of the divine is always directing me to more opportunities. The same with you. The more vigilant we are about this, the more we feel this. Through a seeker, I became connected to an organization called United Consciousness. I am one of their steering committee members. I don't like using the word board. Board members are board members. So a steering committee. And our aspiration is to be endorsed by the United Nations. What we do, we want to be endorsed by the United Nations because then that becomes universal. Specifically, we are working on an integrated manual of humanity. And we're researching what divides humanity and what divines humanity, brings humanity together. And we're approaching this from multiple narratives: psychology, science, religion. This year, the G20. The G20 is based on the grandest economies of the world. This year's hosting or presidency is through India, through Bharat. Now, within the G20, there's a C20. The C here stands for civil. And here the idea is for people to be more civilized, not just in terms of IQ, but more so EQ, their emotional intelligence. And so a better word to describe the C20 is cultural. How to study and share culture. I want you to try to internalize this as a vision statement. If there's a vision statement, we need a mission statement. As you can see in my background, the mission statement for the C20 is one earth, one family, one future. This comes from the Sanskrit saying, which I've shared with all of you, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Vasudha means earth. Eva means alone. Kutumbaka means community or family. All on earth are a family, are connected. If there's a mission statement, then an action statement is needed, and that is yoga as a global call. Yoga has its roots, the genesis has come from Bharat, but to share this with the globe. United Consciousness has been given the opportunity to be one of the organizations, the few organizations, to tend to the C20, to study and share the vision, mission, action that I just described to you. So yesterday we had a meeting with one of the ministers of India, and I don't know his exact title, but one of the ministers of India, and there was representatives from all 20 countries. So I represented Canada, and we all had our backgrounds the way it is yesterday. And I'd forgotten to change it, but since you saw it, and more people watched on Facebook because I had a virtual background. Can you believe that? I should just put handsome people behind me, then way more people will watch Meaningful Mornings. And the fulfillment of the presidency of the G20, C20 is that it goes from the G20 to G all. That it's not based on the economy, but this feeling of being united is with all countries, all people of all countries. As we reflect on what I'm telling all of you, we've been doing this for 34 months now. Whether it's communing the way we are, whether it's Prithvi Seva Sangha, it's lovely that what we're doing in a micro way, maybe we're affecting that in the macro way with all of these grand plans. So I'll keep you posted on this. One sharing in advance, United Consciousness is organizing a retreat in Ujjain in December. I will be going there. The highlight being, that is where Sri Krishna studied. He didn't know, then he had to go study. So his ashram, as in Rishi Sandipani's ashram, is near Ujjain. So anyone who wants to join, please plan for meeting in Bharat in December. In chapter 11, verse 20, Prince Arjuna shares, Disha Sarvaha, which means you are in all directions. Do you know that? Do you know Sri Krishna is in all directions? We know it, but we don't feel it. And that's why in our culture, another word for a Sadguru is a Deshika. Deshika means the one who knows the Disha, the one who knows the direction, knows the path. They become a Sadguru or a guide. In our Upanishad course, we have a class tonight. The students had the reflection adventure of the week. How many people do they trust? And how do they know they trust them? My observation in answering this is, I don't trust that many people because, here the technicality, those who are independent are trustworthy because then they have a pure relationship with you. So there's not so many independent people in the world. Reflect on that. Prince Arjuna is coming to trust Sri Krishna more. In verse 21, he shifts the messaging from, in verse 20, he says, you fill them. In verse 21, he says, they fill you. And the detail about this, the attention to detail is, what's more real? Not them, you are. You don't depend on them. The fact is, they depend on you. Anyone who is resonating with what Prince Arjuna is resonating with will start to feel na vijugupsate. Shared it yesterday, I'm sharing it again. Vijugupsate, if I can give you a framework, one does not feel angry or annoyed or afraid or attached. Because there's only Sri Krishna and finally only you. But don't look in the mirror. There's only my cheek, only my elbow, only my thoughts. You are existence. You are awareness. This is infinite. Also in verse 21, what is shared is those who feel this, their prayer is for swasti. I'm going to digress here because knowledge is power. The word swasti means, Please remember this. We need to, for the sake of society, su, asti. Su means well, and asti means being. So praying for swasti is praying for well-being, for all beings. And the Ka is added and it becomes swastika. Say it back. Swastika. The ka is a symbol of well-being. And those in our community have seen a swastika. This symbol has come from a lotus. If you see a lotus in water and you look down, the lines are the petals of that lotus. It's almost like they're unfolding. And the dots in the middle, I don't know what it's called, a stamen, the soft middle part of that lotus. So a swastika is actually a lotus. And remember what a lotus means? Peace, freedom. This is extremely different, dimensionally different from the Hakenkreuz. What Hitler and the Nazis used is known as the Hakenkreuz, not the swastika. Hakenkreuz means hooked cross. I keep reading that this person is using the swastika and that person is using the swastika. They're not. They're using the Hakenkreuz. They're not using the swastika. Without knowledge, there's misidentification. With knowledge, there is clarity of identification. If we're not clear, who else is going to be clear? So if you see that misidentification, you offer your insights. We continue. Verse 22. Rudraditya vasavo ye cha sadhyaha Vishveshvinau marutaschoshpapascha Gandharva yaksha surasiddha sangaha Vikshante tvam vismitaschaiva sarve. I'm going to read the translation. The Rudras, Adityas, Vasus, Sadhyas, Vishwadevas, Ashwins, Marutas, Ushmapas, and hosts of Gandharvas, Yakshas, Asuras, and Siddhas. That takes us to the first 3 quarters. What Prince Arjuna is using is what Sri Krishna used in chapter 10. In chapter 10, Sri Krishna says, I'm this and this and this. Prince Arjuna is seeing this and understanding it, so he's repeating it back. Put most simply, what is being described is diversity. Diversity. Where is this diversity? In unity. Vikshante tvam vismitaschaiva sarve. And all of these beings, this diversity is looking at you in a confused way. Some are confused because they don't have the knowledge, so this is different than them. But some, they are comfortable. They have more knowledge, so they don't see Sri Krishna as being different from them. The word vismita means astonished. Sometimes astonishment is uncomfortable or confusing. Sometimes we feel comfortable with that astonishment. This is a trend that's going on in these verses about the more you know, the less you feel different. Verse 23. Rupam Mahate Bahuvaktra Netram Mahabaho Bahubahu Rupadam Bahudaram Bahudam Strakaralam Drishtva Loka Pravyatitas. Reading the translation. Having seen your immeasurable form, with many mouths and eyes, almighty armed, with many arms, thighs, and feet, with many stomachs, and fearsome with many tusks, the worlds are terrified, and so am I too. What are the body parts that are identified? I'm going to say it, you point to your own, okay? This will be like an interpretive dance, okay, Balver students? Mouths, point to it. Then eyes, arms, thighs, feet, stomach, and teeth. You don't have tusks, some of us do, but teeth. Where are all of these? In Sri Krishna. So now, for all of you who just woke up at 7:44, and hopefully after Meaningful Mornings, you'll go to the bathroom and brush your teeth. When you brush those teeth, whose teeth are they? Sri Krishna's. How are you doing it? That hand is his too. To try to feel that. And the most beautiful part about this verse is, he says, Tata aham. See, in verse 20 and 21 and 22, he says others, they are afraid, they are astonished, but now he shares, I am too. It shows the personalization Prince Arjuna is engaged in. I'll share more. From inspiration to application, your recent application was to fast for the future. How many of you did this? Okay. Those who did, we discussed this, and you'll see some images of this. The reflections that I received from those who did this is that their thoughts were different when they were fasting compared when they weren't fasting. They felt more quiet. And the reason for this is purpose pulls performance. If I tell you today, fast, why? It's January 31st. You will lie to me even if you sign up. But if I say fast to remember Gandhiji, then it's the ideal is producing different thoughts. Have the purpose of Sri Krishna in everything you do. You'll be running on different fuel then, not Monster energy drinks. You'll be running on the Vishwarupa. Here is your application for this morning. I want you to think of a person or persons you revere, and what percentage of you fears them? What percentage of you wants to be near them? Okay, you have to take 100%, your relationship with whom you revere, how much of that is fear and how fearness and how much of that is nearness. Reflect on that. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be joy.